Good evening, ALTTPR League, and welcome to another race as part of Season 4 of Link to the Past Randomizer Open League. Tonight, we are featuring NYRambler, or NYRambler, from the team It's Always Sunny in Pendant Pod, versus SuperRandoBros of the team A Deadly Case of Explosions. This is Game 2 between these two teams. We had Game 1 last night, where It's Always Sunny in Pendant Pod took a win. This is part of our Turtle Rock division. So we are both starting, we're off, and both runners starting off in Sanctuary. So what is Pilot? Spoiler, key sanity. So our runners, Rambler and RandoBros, are just going to go. And what happens is that as soon as our race started, so as soon as that clock hit 0, in the race room, a spoiler log was released. That spoiler log tells you everything. It tells you which dungeons are crystals, which dungeons are pendants, what the medallions are, what the prize pools are off of trees. If you want to know it, you can find it there. So our pilots are going to try and find the most efficient route through the seed and feed that to the runners. Goal's still the same. It's a 7-7 kill Ganon. Rambler, unfortunately, not getting the Houlihan. RandoBros does get it, so we saw both runners trying to go for that early Houlihan. Link's house gives us our first glove, though. So Rambler heading up towards Uncle. We'll see what we get out of these checks. Meanwhile, SuperRandoBros heading over to the Lake Hylia. Maybe not. Routing instead over to Link's house, picking up a bomb. Okay. So maybe not buying those bombs, but Rambler is getting a little bit of magic and getting the Moon Pearl as well as the mirror out of the escape portion with Uncle. So Rambler now heading out of the Sanctuary once again. I don't know if we're going to see another attempt at Houlihan. Nope. Meanwhile, SuperRandoBros heading over to Sahashville, so I'm guessing there's something back here in the closet, especially after going for that one bomb. We get a small key to Tower of Hera. Going to be interested to see if that is required for this seed. Sometimes, you get a small key you don't necessarily need, but other times those can come in handy. And we get bombs in the Kakariko well, so Rambler able to just kind of proceed without having to worry about them. And it looks like this Kakariko well not giving us too much, just a little bit of safety and early items to kind of make life a little easier. And it looks like we do have a co-commentator tonight. I'm now joined by Fear Agent. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Great. So, Pilot spoiler, how much do you love this mode?
I think it's interesting mode.
In other words, it's not your favorite to play.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I've grown to enjoy it, but it's not my favorite.
Understandable. This is, you talk to the runners and the pilots of this mode, and it works almost in reverse. For runners, the early game is kind of, it's frenetic, but you don't feel like it's too different. It's the end game where things get a little stressful when you're doing a lot more low percent. For the pilots, that beginning is just pure insanity. You're trying to find items as quick as possible, build that route where, by the end, you're kind of just like, yeah, go do your thing.
Yeah, I like co-op. I'll just say that. I like playing the game with your friends.
Yes.
And it's a different way of doing that, and it's a lot of fun. It's a bit stressful.
Completely agree. We do get our hammer out of Mini Moldorm Cave, so that is Dark World access, and wow, that is a loaded Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, mitts too. Wow.
So,
It's always interesting to see how many different ways there is to route a seed, with or without a spoiler. Especially with a spoiler, though, since everyone knows where everything is, and how everyone ends up in the same spot a lot of the times around the same time.
yeah, there's definitely very interesting pieces to this mode, as Rambler does get a GT Small and a Pod Small out of the back of Escape there.
There's a lot of things, like, not only do you have to keep track of all the items and the keys, but you have to keep track of your magic. You got to keep track of your money. You got to keep track of your health. So there's a lot to keep track of when you're first opening up that spoiler log.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't think about as much, you know. You go, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill, I'm gonna go kill Armos, I'm gonna go kill Vitreous, and I've got a bow, I'm great. And then you realize, wait, why don't I have any arrows?
Right, totally. Yep. So we see Rambler heading into Castle Tower, or excuse me, into Hyrule Castle. And you always love the random save and quits as well in this mode, where you're like going somewhere and you're like, oh, nope, don't need to go there. And both these teams at 6 points, so looking to make a run here as we head towards the second half of the season.
Yeah, TR Division is the one we're looking at with this. So we just actually finished up a race between some of the the top teams of this division, and so now we're seeing some of the other teams here. One of the great things about this week is, of course, the ability to kind of fit in so many races and see so many runners.
So got the Fire Rod there in the first check of Hyrule Castle. I imagine we'll see SuperRandoBros there pretty soon. So
yeah, we did see that early book from RandoBros. We'll see if that does pay out later.
You see Rambler skipping checks in Hype Cave. Are you the type of runner to pick up just everything, or do you ask your pilot to, like, which ones do I need to pick up?
So I'll say with the NPC specifically, I still like to go for muscle memory there. I will still get the NPC even while the bomb's exploding. It just feels natural. Even if it was a map or a compass, I'd probably still pick it up. The chest, I try to be a little better about, but I gotta be honest, there just comes a time where you go into there and you just muscle memory it the whole way.
You see, I'm almost in favor of just picking everything up right away anyways. Just in case you're like, oh, you don't need that, and turns out, oh, you did need that $20, or you did need those 10 arrows, or oops, I did need that book, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Both rods very early.
Yeah, we're doing well on the item side of this seed so far. I think we'd love to have a sword or some boots, but the fact that we're not really getting a lot of early keys is very interesting.
Yeah. So they've got access to a lot of different areas, but they can't really finish any of them.
Yeah, Rambler, unfortunately, I was about to say having to play it safe here, and right as I was about to say it, that happens. So
yeah, overworld deaths are always tough. So it looked like he was he heading over to Catfish?
That's what it appeared, and because I don't think there was really anything else in that area. We don't have the money yet, and we don't have the equipment really to get into the water checks there.
Hopefully that's not too important, because that's kind of an out of the way check. And it can't be that important because he's not going immediately back to grab it, so.
Yeah, this mode really does stress, how is your execution at the low percent? In many ways, it might just be better to kind of go a little bit slower in this mode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always better to go slower and not die than really fast and take deaths. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, what are we going to get? We might get a row of hearts, and that's a huge might. You
Yeah.
really don't frequently see people ever get up to that second row. Oh, nice exchange of rupees there, 20 for 300. But yeah, we might get up to 10 hearts. Hopefully there's a mail upgrade along the route. Maybe we'll get a
Yeah.
bottle or powder, but don't expect it. Really what you're hoping for is please make sure there's a bottle. But you hope, can I get a tempered sword at best?
Mhm.
Or at worst? I mean, like, where are my 4 swords and which ones are good?
What's the item you're looking for first, or would you ask your pilot to find first? Is it
I
boots?
think boots and flute are the 2 big ones. If you've got that movement, at this point, we don't have boots yet, so I gotta believe there's somewhere buried in this seed. This could also be an experience thing. I know there's definitely a point where you're kind of like, I'm not used to this kind of stuff. Building that kind of stability between a runner and pilot is a lot of work. So we are getting a different check from SuperRandoBros, by the way.
Yeah.
Heading into Escape all the way to Zelda Cell. I'll be very curious to find out what we get here.
Yeah, if it's important, then Rambler is going to have to make a double dip of this. Of all of the modes in the league, I feel like this is the one that you have to practice the most. Just because it's probably the least played mode.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that also as the further we get into this season. Next week being cross keys, I know a lot of runners. Oh, that was a bottle.
Okay.
Interesting choice. Because we did see that one at Brewery.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is definitely I don't want to call it the oddball mode, because it's definitely a very popular mode. We saw it really kind of, this is the 3rd season now with Pilot Spoiler in it.
Yep.
And we also saw our first ever Pilot Spoiler tournament.
Right.
So it's definitely a mode that has gained popularity, but is definitely the most unique of the 7 modes for this. In the next week, we've got cross keys and followed by open, 2 very, much staples of this community.
For sure.
So between, this and even the week 7 mode of the co-op Enemizer that we'll be seeing, these are kind of 2 of our most different regular season modes.
Yeah. It is fun seeing everyone practice and play these modes, though. Again, co-op just makes the game more fun.
Yeah, and that's a big part of what League is. It is kind of this idea of working with others and not just the sole warrior going through a seed.
Right. We're seeing a turn-in of the purple chest for the flute. All right.
Wow. Good thing we had that mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Rambler just dropped the smith off and didn't even turn him in, like, to get the prize. So
yeah, those are some of the little things you can really do nicely in this mode, is just being able to say, where can we cut a corner? Are these keys convenient? We talk if you and I were going to run a seed, we'd be like, okay, how many TR keys do I want? I want 3.
Right.
In this mode, you can easily go, hey, where's that 4th key? And is it more convenient than stealing the pokey key? Like, it's a little thing we would never consider, but when you have that log in front of you, there just might become that point.
Yeah, pod's also an interesting one. There's 6 keys out there. How many of them do you actually need?
Yeah, how many times have you gone into the back of Palace of Darkness to find nothing? And really, you could have gotten away with 1 small key.
Yeah, totally. I like SuperRandoBros also picking up some extra hearts. Knowing your limitations in this mode is how you win it, honestly.
Yeah. The longer you play this game, the more comfortable you are with these kinds of low percent fights, and that is kind of the function here that you're going to see. Rambler obviously a bit more experience of a runner. I know SuperRandoBros was just in this past year's mentor tourney.
Yeah, I think it's smart to take a second and pick up those extra heart containers. Make sure that you're not taking unnecessary deaths. So I think it's always like, how much can I do without going out of the way to get extra safeties? But again, those deaths can be costly. We saw Rambler take that overroll death going on his way to Catfish. So
yeah, and part of it, I don't know. Definitely not something we can talk about as much if this was an Invitational League match. In that scenario, pretty much you have to just go the whole way through. But
yeah,
in
it's
this
true.
scenario,
those invitational runners are a little overrated though. So,
but one of the things you talk about to some, especially in the open league, is do you play? I don't want to call it safer in a sense, but do you just say, hey, I can go and, do you want to send me to go do something? Do you want to send me to go get an extra potion? Do you want to send me to go to half magic or silvers? Like, this is something we wouldn't be talking about too much in the Invitational, but for open, it becomes more of a question.
For sure. Like, for example, we just saw Rambler head into Skull Woods with the ability to clear it and didn't.
Yeah, instead we are looks like we're going for an early Desert Palace play. We do have the small and the big key already.
This is interesting because they also, I wonder if Pyramid Fairy is something because they have access to Ice Palace as well. Well, not without those flippers, but go to sequence break those if we need to.
Well, and on that front with the flippers, do we even need them? Swamp Palace is a pendant dungeon.
Right. There's a flute for SuperRandoBros. There's that Master Sword. That's a nice pickup there in Desert Palace.
Yeah, and I gotta assume we're gonna get something on the right side here. We wouldn't have gotten that small key otherwise. So how loaded is our Desert Palace, as well as being a 5/6 crystal?
Boots? Is it gonna be boots?
Having those would be nice.
Oh, two swords.
Wow.
Wow.
And that's all we wanted from the right side. Just that second sword. And we're not even... Are we skipping out on Landmo right now?
Yeah, that's a little surprising. I mean, definitely set up to kill Landmo pretty quickly. Maybe there's like half magic here or something. And we got the Thieves Town Big, which is required. So gonna need Bombos, gonna need Quake. And then like you mentioned, a lot of Y items, but not a ton of keys yet.
Yeah, finding the Thieves Town small, or the Thieves Town big, I mean, great. We're really set up for only a couple of dungeons at this point.
Yeah.
There's another necessary big key, and Rambler is going to leave. Maybe at this point, his pilot is saying, we have a better setup available to us. We can get better equipment to kill off Landmolus when we go do that to kill Vidi.
Yeah, I think probably just comboing it with Vidi. It's fine. I don't think it's really much of a time loss here. So heading over to the mountain now on Rambler's side. And SuperRandoBros just kind of following in the footsteps. Those dead rocks are a pain. There's the mushroom. I don't believe Rambler picked that up.
No, Rambler did drop into the left side of Skull Woods, but did not really go in for, has a small key, decided not to use it that first trip in.
Hmm.
Could be saving it for the back. I'll be curious. But yeah, a mushroom pickup from SuperRandoBros. I wonder what we're going to get off of that. Or is this just a safety for fake powder later?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like I'm not sure if you need this yet, but just pick it up anyways. I like that he checked Spec Rock before going in, even though he knows what's in there.
Muscle memory is one of the most dangerous parts of this mode. You talk to any runner and, you get into a dungeon, you're just like, I didn't need to do that.
Going for the bomb jump here.
Not the worst thing to miss it. Gets that free fairy now, so.
Yeah. Not an easy bomb jump to do.
Yeah, you're pretty much trying to hook yourself into that wall.
Mm-hmm.
So SuperRandoBros now heading into Desert Palace. We'll get those 2 swords. And that was the only pickup actually for Rambler, really.
So did he go up to the mountain just to get the Turtle Rock Small?
That's what it's looking like to me.
That's interesting. Okay.
I'm curious if there was a thought about TR and realizing I don't have the medallion or Samaria here,
Yeah.
because it is looking like those TR keys are really coming quick. Rambler now up to 3 TR smalls.
So as long as they don't need to open the lava chest, can get through there once they get the big key and the items they need.
And I mean, we're seeing Rambler head over to Palace of Darkness without a bow, without a big key, and with only 1 small key. So not really a dungeon we're clearing at this point.
Yeah, this gets you 3 items, right?
Yeah.
5 if you can mimic clip or use a potion. I'm not sure if he has a potion in that bottle or not.
I think we have a fairy in that bottle right now.
Okay. So you can use that to potion glitch. I don't know if how many runners are familiar with that setup, but it is possible.
Yeah, that is a very hard one to go with. Although we do pull the big key. Oh, that's our big key to Turtle Rock.
Okay.
But yeah, that is definitely a hard potion glitch to pull off in pod. Pretty much what you're looking for, those blue jellyfish to kind of push you to the left or hit you to the left as you die. Oh, of course, a vanilla small key pod.
Of course. Yeah. Now that's going to open up a lot more chests.
SuperRandoBros is going on after Land Molus here.
Yeah, I think this is perfectly fine. I feel like both decisions are defensible. I feel like I would have probably killed Landmo at this point. Maybe when I come back with boots or something, I'm not sure. There's a fire rod locked lamp.
As well as our Hera big key. So we really had a lot out of here in Palace of Darkness. And
the Hera big's interesting because it's a pendant, and 2, they have the hook shot. So that tells you that there's probably something important there in that Hera big.
But we do have that first crystal for SuperRandoBros out of Desert Palace. So nice little early crystal there.
Into another pendant dungeon for Rambler. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but piloting is hard.
Yeah. That's why I don't do it.
Yeah.
I like running and moving quickly. speaking of running quickly, we still don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I wonder if boots are just probably like in GT or something, and it's like it is nice knowing like, okay, we're not getting boots, right? Like when you're playing a seed normally, you're like, come on boots, and you get those like late boots, you're like, ugh. This right away, like, all right, boots are probably somewhere pretty bad.
Yeah, I feel like both of our pilots tonight would have kind of prioritized that find. And the fact that they haven't is really screaming, these are not good boots.
Mm-hmm. So SuperRandoBros is just kind of following in Rambler's footsteps, but is a dungeon up, and oh, there's the bow.
Interesting first
Friends remove
bow.
the bow.
And we're not going back into Palace of Darkness yet.
So that means there's nothing over on that bow side.
Yeah, that'd be my guess at this point. And I have to assume that given the fact that we've got 3 TR smalls, TR big, Fire Rod, and Ice Rod, we're going to find a medallion and a Cane of Samaria up here.
Yeah. Rambler does have to be careful. These there it gets through, but those boulders are like heat-seeking missiles at times.
Probably going to hope for a fairy here under one of our bushes, because I have to assume, oh, I was going to say, you know, Rambler, you're going to go for a Harapot, right?
Not this time.
Yeah, definitely not.
Or I guess you could take a death in Hera. That wouldn't be too bad. I'm guessing Samaria is in this chest.
How did you know?
I didn't know they were going to open that chest. I thought it was going to be the big key chest, or the actual big chest. So we're going to get Samaria and then what is it? Bombos.
Yeah, that does look like a Bombos requirement here. And that, I gotta say, that a heart off the mini Moldorm is just the nicest feeling.
Clutch.
And Hera Big, not the answer, I guess. But Moldorm is.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because he kind of went out of his way to go get that the big key.
I don't know. Do you ever have those days where you're just like, maybe it's not my day for a good run and can't hit the Harapot?
Yeah, every day is that day. Right, there's another pod key.
And we don't want the pendant.
Oh, man. Okay, so he was getting the lamp anyways. I think just picking up that Hera big key while he was next to it. I believe that's where he got it. Makes sense.
It was.
And killing Helma, or excuse me, Moldorm, and getting that pod key is also pretty useful, I imagine, as well. So
yeah, depending on where our other pod keys are, might not get the opportunity to get too many others.
Mm-hmm. SuperRandoBros just standing there waiting for his pilot to figure this out before he uses that key. I love it. All right, so no Turtle Rock dip because again we still don't have Bombos.
Yeah, is that death from earlier getting the Quakefish? Are we finally going to see why that was such a problem?
I thought he did the ledge already.
I thought so as well.
This looks like a trip to Castle Tower.
Which definitely not possible earlier on that fighter sword, or no sword?
Yeah. Alright, so there's the lamp for SuperRandoBros. This gonna be Quake? Or no? The Thieves Town small. Okay.
Well, we can fully clear
Interesting.
Thieves now.
Yeah.
But we are gonna, I think we're gonna finally get to see what that Quakefish had.
Do you think is it going to be Quake? Is it going to be vanilla?
I feel like this could be Bombos. But if it was, I don't think Rambler would have gone up there without it.
Well, we
So
do
you might
need
be right
Quake,
with
right?
Quake. Yeah. This
Yeah.
could be a vanilla medallion. You might be right.
There must be like no value in like Paradox or Hookshot Cave because nobody's making their way over there.
Yeah, East Death Mountain really has not been at all on the agenda. But here we go. What is on Quakefish?
I think it's a medallion. Either Bombus or Quake is my guess. There it is.
So that is our access now into Turtle Rock and the ability to clear it.
Yeah, you can get everything, including Mimic Cave, except for the vanilla big key chest. But again, they've got the spoiler lock, so that doesn't really matter.
Well, and this, this speaks to the experience of piloting in a sense,
Yep.
why it's such a hard thing to do. You're kind of seeing, okay, this is now another trip for Rambler up the mountain. And part of this is just how rough that death was.
Yeah. Yeah, he would have been able to combo Turtle Rock in with when he was up here with Hera. A little surprised that SuperRandoBros didn't do the same thing coming out of the pod.
Yeah, and for SuperRandoBros, still no Ice Rod and still short a couple extra TR smalls.
Yeah. It looks like SuperRandoBros is going to get in that pod key as well. And I think we just saw Quake there over in Paradox. So there's our medallions.
Yeah, Paradox Cave actually did have something.
So here's a question for you. Is there anything in Swamp today, you think?
I feel like we're so far away from even thinking about it between no small, no flippers.
Yeah. I mean, that might be why Ramblers beelining it to Turtle Rock, though, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, what do we still need? We still need a pod big.
Is that it?
A GT big.
Pod big and GT big? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think Rambler wouldn't complain about some extra hearts right now.
Sure.
5 hearts green mail is not fun.
There you go. Blue mail's a nice upgrade. There's
and we have something on Floating Island.
Yeah, I didn't see. I don't know. I don't think anybody's walked by it. So
yeah, I don't think so either.
Is that it? Is that the pod one? That is.
So that puts us into the ability to just get into GT now. We really are just missing a GT big.
Okay, so I'm trying to look. Is there a reason to do Turtle Rock right now other than you're here? Maybe Silvers or Half Magic are here or something, maybe Boot.
If you can get a key that's convenient for other stuff. Ice Palace, I always like having, if I can get a big key before doing ice, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to hit the switch and go backwards in that dungeon. I enjoy that, but that's kind of minor. There's little things. We were gonna have to make an additional mountain climb at some point
Sure.
to get that pod big. So
But he didn't. Here's the thing that I'm wondering is because he left and went to go get Bombos, and then came back up, and all the stuff wasn't in Turtle Rock.
no,
So,
you're right. There has to be something here. Like I think
yeah,
I'd be shocked if there wasn't a required item here
right.
for one of the dungeons not on the mountain. Like if we just get GT big, I think it's I don't want to say a wasted trip, but just an added trip not
Right.
needed.
I'm just wondering if there is, because you see SuperRandoBros do. You see SuperRandoBros doing those same pickups that Rambler was doing, but he doesn't have all the Turtle Rock stuff. So I'm not sure.
And this is the part I enjoy about watching this mode is
Yeah.
not looking.
Yep.
We easily could also pull up the log and look through it and take a gander, but there's just something fun about just not doing that.
Yep. Pokey getting away from Rambler a bit. Love the bunny sprite for the Homer.
Yeah, don't
Homer
get to
sprite.
see the Homer too often, and that is a great bunny sprite.
I have to think there's something that's going to make the rest of the seed easier in Turtle Rock. Like I feel like that's the reason he would do that.
Yeah, is there anything like that you would think that would do that for you though?
The only thing I can think of is maybe silvers, and that's really only to help with Vidi.
Yeah, silvers on Vidi would be nice, especially when you don't have really there's no leeway to do like an NMG Vidi.
Boots are obviously, if there's boots here, then I fully understand coming up here and going to the big chest. Okay, there they are. All right.
Are we sure you don't have access to the log yourself right now?
I swear, I'm just trying to piece together, what would happen. What would bring you to Turtle Rock, and boots would bring me to Turtle Rock. And unfortunately for SuperRandoBros, thinking the same thing, doesn't have Bombos yet, and it's still, like you said, missing a couple of those keys. So,
and this could be that the boots are required. We don't know if is that quality of life upgrade enough of a reason to go through Turtle Rock this early.
I think there's enough of the seed, because I mean we're 37 minutes in. Rambler doesn't have any dungeons cleared. SuperRandoBros has 2, so there's still a lot of seed to go, even though you have pretty much everything to complete it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't see Desert getting any easier, and Rambler didn't clear that one at that moment. I mean, Rambler did beat Moldorm, but decided not to collect the pendant. That poor blue pendant.
So there's that ice rod for SuperRandoBros. And there was something in the Castle Tower, right? Okay, he is mirroring.
Yeah, I think SuperRandoBros already acquired that item.
Oh, did he? Okay. But he's leaving. Oh, I mean, he's not getting Bombos. All right, there's that Turtle Rock key. Rambler just picked up that Meyer key.
Which you can't underestimate the power of a single Meyer key if you're going to do some extra stuff in that dungeon.
Yeah, totally nice. You always love to have one key heading into Meyer. Like, it's not necessary, but it saves you a couple screen transitions.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just heading to kill Vitreous, who cares too much?
Yeah.
But if you want one thing, if it's, oh, I'm gonna get cutscene chest has the silver arrows or a cape or something, being able to skip right side and go directly to the left side is a nice little bonus.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna make one more prediction.
Okay.
They got Rambler kind of went out of his way to get the Thieves Town small key, right?
Yep.
That's where the GT big key is.
I think that's a pretty safe assumption at this point. Definitely something.
Because I'm not sure. Yeah.
Like, I don't see why you go kill Moldorm for the rinky-dink Thieves Town small key if it's not required.
Well, the Moldorm was the pod key. I can't remember where they got the Thieves Town small, but I remember them going out of the way to get it.
Oh, you're right.
In Castle Tower. It was in Castle Tower, yeah. And this is actually... Okay, so SuperRandoBros does have a Quake Medallion, so they did do Catfish, and I just missed it. So they'll be getting their boots here shortly.
They need Bombos, though, for TR.
Oh, right. Oh, no. So they haven't done Catfish. This is going to be an extra climb. That's unfortunate. So it looks like there is something on the right side of Meyer. Maybe this is the GT Big. Oh, it's a vanilla big key too. Location. So got to go through the cutscene. What? I mean, at this point, what would you want this to be if it's not a required key?
Silvers.
Silvers. Yeah.
Maybe a cape. I mean, really, at this point, Rambler is becoming the term I love that I've heard this week is a glass cannon.
Yeah.
I really hope there's... I gotta wonder what it is and if there's enough. And yeah, unfortunately, SuperRandoBros on top of TR and realizing, wait, I don't have the medallion.
Yeah, it was right over there too. That's a little unfortunate. There they are. There's the silvers.
Yep. And really, I completely understand the play here for Rambler heading towards Vitreous. This is not an ideal equipment setup, health wise.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth those, however long it takes for the cutscene there. I think it's worth it with Vidi and Ganon. I think he'll save some time. Does have to be careful. Does have that fairy in the bottle as he's showing us right now.
The other thing to think about is we also have this could save time on Landmo.
Yeah.
I think it's a little tentative on a save just because of the fact that Fire Rod Tempered Sword the first time can also give you a pretty reliable one cycle, so I'm not sure how much of a difference it will make. But there's a chance.
The seed, compared to a lot of seeds I've seen this week, not too bad, honestly.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of interesting combinations we've seen. Whether it's the required doubles and triple dips of dungeons, I don't feel like we've had that bad of a setup. I'm not going to say this is like super, super nice, but this is definitely on the better side of some of the possibilities. Yeah.
I mean, the worst thing is how deep the boots were, but everything else I feel like has been relatively nice-ish for a rando seed, that is.
Yeah, especially with keys. I ran some practices with friends, and you just piece together the logic in some of them, and you're like, really? That's what the seed wanted. And there's another pod small.
Wow. I mean, really, the only thing in pod was the lamp, right? I mean, you could get away with one pod small in this seed if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I think the hard part there is, do you want to do Mire in the Dark?
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
I mean, I will if I'm doing just about any other, any normal seed. I'll probably do Dark Mire, but 5 hearts, I'm with you on that one.
I mean, I'll do it, but the question wasn't whether or not would I do it. It's do I want to do it? And the answer is always no. So no, doesn't look like there's going to be a swamp dip because we have no small key and no flippers. Yeah, I'm thinking GT big in the Thieves Town big chest. That's going to be my guess.
Either that or we see a GT key in GT.
Yeah, that's always a possibility.
And I mean, there is actually some time save you can get within Thieves Town.
Yeah.
You can actually skip that hallway key and not have to dash up. Is it a major save? No, but if you're gonna get it anyway, sometimes it's a little nice, these minor optimizations.
I actually like what SuperRandoBros is doing and just foregoing the boots at this point and just putting it off Tartar Rock. Definitely has to make up some time, and I think going all the way up to the mountain at this point again, and then having to come back down and climb it again, I'm not sure if it's worth all those extra climbs.
Yeah, I mean, the one dungeon we're going to see soon, or the biggest dungeon we're going to see that makes a difference, of course, is Thieves Town.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't disagree. Like, if you're going to try to save some time, this would be the moment for it.
Gonna see a fake flipper here. SuperRandoBros goes to the back of Skullwoods using bombos to get rid of those Gibdos.
Nice way to save a little bit of magic.
Yeah, for sure. So no big key for ice. So they got to make sure, unless it's here, they have to make sure to hit that switch.
Having that, no, I was about to say we have a small key. No, we don't even have a small key at this moment.
Which is fine.
Yeah, ice does provide the keys for you to do this dungeon.
Clutch refill from SuperRandoBros there. Takes down Moth.
Oh, that's our GT big key.
Oh, wow. So, what's in Thieves Town big?
Gold sword? Red mail?
Yeah, maybe, I guess. Half magic?
I don't know. I think this has been my favorite boss fight of all week. Cold Stare, low percent fights have really kind of been the story of a lot of races.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one of the biggest safeties you can get in this game, the powder.
Yeah. Probably one of the best for when you're in GT.
Yeah, and I think at this point, you know, Rambler is still holding on to that fairy and that red goo, so nice bits of safety for sure, along with now having powder. That's a pretty comfy climb.
Mm-hmm. Making use of that Bombus medallion.
And there's a nice use of Bombos and Fire Rod for sure.
Yep.
Hey, and there's our third medallion.
There you go. Do you think It's Always Sunny and Pendant Pod are disappointed that Pod is not a pendant? Or are they happy?
you know, having a member of my own team who loves Pendant Pod, I think it's pretty disappointing whenever you don't have it.
Yeah, who actually had quite a big moment in Pendant Pod this week, right?
Yeah. As I've been told many times, it's never Helma unless it's Green Pendant, and then it's always Helma.
Yeah. All right, so 2 more crystals. It looks like 3 more crystals still for Rambler. So SuperRandoBros have a bit of catching up to do here.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about this mode, while I would not ever expect Rambler or SuperRandoBros to be watching the race, both of our pilots are in the chat.
Yeah.
And that is completely allowed for this mode.
Yeah, and their work for the most part is pretty much done. So, you know, you'll talk to your pilot a little bit about, you know, is there any extra hearts or anything that's like along the way that I can pick up to kind of make things a little bit easier? Maybe you have magic, and they're like, nope, I'm gonna go talk and chat now.
Yeah. But that, you know, it's one of those cool little moments of this is, you know, as a runner, you know, or as the pilot, you go, hey, do you want to know where your opponent is? And, you know, some runners want to have that little bit and know, okay, I've got the advantage here, or maybe I don't. You know, it's a little piece of information that it's nice to have at times. Not always. Really is dependent upon that runner and what kind of pressure they enjoy.
For sure. It's going to be really interesting going from this week into next week, which is the return of cross keys to the league.
Yeah, and I know a lot of, especially on the invitational side, there's a lot of excitement for that. I'll say, as an open runner myself, I'm excited for it. Definitely my favorite mode outside of doing co-op, but gonna be interesting to see the open side of things.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the initial hesitation with cross keys is, of course, the length and the difficulty of it. But having seen this past year's cross keys tournament and how many entrants there were.
Yeah, what was it, 168 entries?
Yeah. It sort of relieved us as admins from being like, you know, people aren't familiar with this mode anymore, which is just not true. Everyone's playing it. So
yeah, definitely one of almost a crowd favorite of runners at this point. Probably one of the it's definitely, as you said, a hard mode to get into, just knowing how long it is. But yeah, the popularity has grown. I think a lot of people look at that as the ultimate puzzle mode.
Yeah, it's definitely intimidating. It took me like at least, I think it was 2 years before I even attempted to do cross keys, and I'm going to say my first cross key seed took me like 4 hours. But
I will say I probably forfeit at least 4 of my first 5 cross keys.
Yeah, my first cross key seed actually happened to be an Agaped seed too, which I'll never forget. Yeah,
nobody forgets those early ones. That thing that you forget. Oh, I had a GT on the light side of Bumper Ledge.
Right.
I will never forget to mirror off Bumper Ledge again.
Yep. What's also going to be fun is there's a lot of room for upsets in that week. So this week is usually, you know, with spoilers, it's just kind of the nature of the beast, is the more experienced, better, I guess, execution heavy runners usually perform pretty well in these weeks. Have a bit of an advantage. But with cross keys, you know, it's all up in the air.
Yeah, there's a lot of practice that goes into this mode specifically, and it's not easy to kind of understand how hard this is at
Yeah.
times.
Having said that, I'm really excited for it, and I'll be watching a lot of cross keys next week. So RandoBros gets his boots, takes down Trinex, nicely done, and Rambler on his way to Moth.
Yeah, this is crystal number 6 for Rambler.
Yeah, it doesn't want us to do the spin there, though, with the Tempered Sword. Ooh, does have that fairy, so... There it is. All right, that's crystal number 6 for Rambler. Just has to finish off pod there with the 4 keys that they've got.
Yeah, we did spend 2 of them earlier, so do have those extras, which is nice. And there's some interesting discussion, about the execution required for this mode versus cross keys. I'd say they're very similar in kind of the low percentage play. Early cross keys races almost have a similar, like, you better be comfortable doing stuff low percent.
Yeah. Practice your laser bridge skips, I would say.
Early laser bridge.
Yeah.
Maybe finding yourself on a non-ideal Mothula fight or low percent GT stuff. It's not totally uncommon for that mode either.
Yeah. So it looks like SuperRandoBros is going to be skipping out on the silvers. It does have to make up some time here, so... Should get our tracker today, Gilgamesh, as well, for keeping track of all that's going on.
Yeah, that's never an easy job, and always super appreciative to have a tracker just, able to make sure we know what's going on and not have to worry about it.
Yeah. I rely on the trackers a whole lot, so super appreciate it.
I was going to say, and ever since tracking for runners became auto tracking,
yeah,
it's gotten a lot easier for us as players.
Totally.
I remember starting off and it was still not auto tracking race legal, and now it's like the first time I used it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm never not doing this again.
Question in chat: will League ever do entrance insanity? No, that's not gonna happen.
While cross keys is a loved mode, I understand that sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, cross keys is even kind of pushing it a little bit. Yeah, something I'm not familiar with that I could see maybe someday, I wouldn't say anytime soon, like season 5 or 6, but maybe down the line, is if Door Rando becomes a bit more popular and played. I could see the possibility of that. Maybe
I'll have to give credit for the, and I know it's kind of a bit more niche as well, is the fact that we kind of saw a little bit of growth of it with the festive this past year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or maybe even something like Shop Sanity, where something's kind of included from the Door Rando, if it ever gets like merged over. I think it's still technically in beta.
Yeah, having played some Shop Sanity seeds, those are always a fun time. Except when you forget that Paradox Cave Shop exists.
Sure.
But that is 7 crystals now for Rambler. Time to head up to Ganon's Tower. And yeah, besides that little trip into Hera for the Cane of Samaria and the key, and a little bit in Eastern Palace, really not a ton on our pendant dungeons today. I mean,
Yeah,
we're able to avoid Swamp Palace completely.
that's the big one. Yeah, Void Swamp. I wonder where those flippers are. So, all execution from here. There's no more searching for Rambler. Just already has the GT big, already has the GT small, so just heads straight on up. SuperRandoBros just trying to play catch up here in ice. Still has Steve's Town and Pod to do after that. So. Here, let me ask you a question. I guess we're gonna ask a question to chat too, since we got a little bit of time. What other sort of co-op modes would you be interested in seeing in the league?
Ooh. I know the one that I've heard a lot of people mention as kind of an off-the-wall idea. I think we're still a ways away from it, of course, is the multi-world idea.
I think multi-world is interesting. The problem with multi-world is the logistics of it.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. Like, I think it's a really neat idea. I know a lot of people who play this game here in League do multi-worlds with their friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that is I completely understand that. It's a lot to ask for at this point. To know that, like, that server, how many times have people done a multi and gone, oh yeah, we lost
yeah. Yeah. It's just not reliable as a racing form.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that will ever be. I think coming up with different, because like the best co-op mode is co-op all dungeons. That's just my favorite overall mode, period. But we don't want to do that 3 times. We like mixing it up. That's why we have like the enemizer and of course the pilot.
And this season we also get to see a potential for co-op in the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see how that plays out with game 5 being Retrants co-op. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
So you mentioned of bingo co-op.
Yeah, as long as I've been playing this game, bingo is one of those things that I just haven't really delved into. So I think if I learned more about it, maybe I could see that being a part of the league, because I've done one and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, bingo's a fun little variation on the game. Definitely, we don't see a lot of it. I want to say there was a tournament recently within the community. A little side tournament. Was it the Nordic community?
Did they do a bingo? I am not sure.
I think they did a bingo tournament. But Rambler into Landmo 2.
Yeah, not getting the cycles that he's looking for. Cold Stare down for SuperRandoBros though.
Yeah, and SuperRandoBros just has Thieves and Pod left at this point.
Yeah, done really well. Had a couple routing errors and a little mistakes, but has played really, really well.
And I don't know if Rambler has any safeties left. I mean, still has powder, so going to be able to powder the bunny beam or the anti-fairy at the top, but I don't know if he has any potions left.
I think he's used the ones that he's had.
Yeah, and I know we saw the fairy used already, so.
I do think co-op entrance would be an interesting addition to the league in future seasons. Oh, there's red mail. Nice free red mail.
Yeah.
Right before the end. Because again, you take a harder mode and you get to do it with your friend, and that's always the best. Keeping track of entrances, I think, is probably the toughest thing, but
yeah, that's definitely a skill set I think is going to be the new one. Going to be really interesting to see how teams kind of prepare for that possibility of Game 5.
yeah, now I'm out rooting for all the playoff series to go 5 games.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of teams who also say, please no, let's get this done before Game 5. And I have to imagine there's some teams who go, we have to play a certain way in that scenario. There's that limitation of only 2 of our players actually play entrance rando. But we've got Aga 2 now for Rambler. Getting a little bit away, but does get the wizard down. So just a fight against Ganon left. SuperRandoBros is coming up on Helmasaur King. I did just realize
I put my mic on mute.
Rambler did not pick up the full magic before Lordrum 2.
Does have silvers though, so should be okay.
Yeah. And going for that 1-in-1. Nicely done.
Yeah, just get through phase 3 here, and then a couple arrows into to Ganon. Call it done. Helma down for SuperRandoBros. Number 2. Try to set up a double there, but didn't quite get it.
That top edge is always really kind of stressful to go for.
Yeah. There it is. Get your GGs in chat for NYRambler. And It's Always Sunny in Pendant Pod as they take the W here.
Yep, Rambler finishing with official time of 107.56. And not too soon after, SuperRandoBros does decide to go with the forfeit on this one. Still a great run.
Yeah. Nothing to be ashamed of. This mode is hard.
Yeah.
Piloting is hard. This is not easy.
Yeah, you talk to the pilots and the runners, and it's just one of those things. They'll tell you, the teams that are really good at this mode will tell you they do work on this. This does not come naturally.
Yeah.
Open a spoiler log for yourself sometime. And when you realize the names of some of the items, as well as the names of the locations, are not what you commonly refer to them as.
Right.
When we talk about Ice Palace, we might say like Icebreaker Room or the H Room, or those rooms actually have a name in the log that is not those things.
Right. Yep.
but we are now joined in the comm booth by Rambler and Kuchiri. GG's.
GG's. Don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yep. How do you guys feel about how you routed, how you played?
GG's. The routing was, I think, solid. We goofed a couple times, but didn't cost us too much, so I was happy with it. Dying on the way to pick up Bombos, then forgetting to pick up Bombos again. Was, I think, solid. Deciding whether to do pod or times, but pod versus Turtle Rock was like the turning point on which to do first. And we decided, boots are fine. Blue Mail, Tempered Sword, 5 or 6 hearts. Pod versus Turtle Rock was like
no, I mean, you just smurfed on it. That's all.
I mean, Blue Mail, Tempered Sword. I was able to get by with what I had. I should take care of
I think the only real unfortunate mishap I think you had was heading over to Catfish.
Yeah,
you took that over.
4 hearts Blue Mail. 4 hearts Blue Mail, I died to Dark World enemies. And because I was gonna go. My plan was to go Bombos, and then 4 hearts Blue Mail, 4 hearts Green Mail. I forgot the pod big. That's why I left after. And then we killed Moldorn for no reason because we were going to do pod last. I think Viddy had a small key to pod.
We didn't know how many small keys we needed, and then we're like, oh crap.
Both bows were in faraway checks, but they were worth it. I think Viddy had a small key to pod.
My big goof was I thought Swamp was needed.
Both bows were in.
So
so I grabbed they were worth it. The Thieves small because the Swamp small was in the Thieves big chest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so I accidentally grabbed, but it worked out because I saved like 5 seconds and not having to grab the pod key.
He was like, oh wait, I can just go left here. That's fine.
So but it worked out because I saved like 5 seconds and not having to grab the pod key.
Fastest thief sound ever.
It was calculated.
We're also joined by SuperRandoBros and Josh Bittner. GG's, guys.
Hey,
Thank
guys,
you.
GG.
Good game.
GG's.
Good games.
Fun seed. We only double dip pod, I think, right?
Yeah, that's the only double dip. Good game.
Fun boots location, huh?
Oh,
fun seed. When he told me that, but then he told me that all the things for TR were early, and he's like, "How early do you want to do it?" I was like, "Do I have Tempered Sword, Blue Mail, and at least 5 hearts?" He said, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, let's do it." When he told me that, but then he told me that all the things for TR.
Well,
I just wanted to go into try next week. I was like, to not have to, take 2 hits and die. He said, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, let's do it."
Well, that's a very interesting, discussion. We were kind of curious about the boots.
I just wanted to go into try next week.
It didn't appear to add too much for the rest of the seed, so
they weren't required. So like I was waffling whether to do TR less and just forget about it, but the fact that I could do TR early and speed up everything else because basically I was in go mode by then. I was waffling whether to once do I got TR less. Once I got the pod big, that was my that. I didn't have the GT big, but that was on the boss. It didn't matter that I was in go mode. I just had to blitz dungeons. So TR was my first crystal. Once I got the pod big, that was that. I didn't have the GT big, but that was on the boss. It didn't matter that I was in go mode. And basically, I basically reversed dungeon order, except I did desert when I did Mire. I did front of desert left because there were the 2 swords there. That was another thing. It was I basically reversed dungeon order. The flute location versus the book location was another thing that we were talking about. I did front of desert left because we knew we needed the flute eventually, but I wanted the swords early. But then we had mitts. The flute location versus the book location pretty thing that we were talking early and easy. Because we knew we needed the flute eventually, but I wanted.
That was just one of those things where everything was out in the open. I mean, we did also double dip Skull Woods.
That doesn't count. Doing front of Skull doesn't count. That's Overworld.
Yeah, that's Overworld.
That's Overworld.
Ask any runner, it's Overworld.
Okay, well, fine then, I guess.
That doesn't count.
It's not Overworld.
It's front of Skull Woods is Overworld. That's Overworld. Think of it this way: in Cross Keys, Skull Woods is part of the actual, the front of Skull Woods is part of everything. It's only linked together. It's not linked with anything else. The back of Skull Woods is something
Cross
else.
Keys. This wasn't Cross Keys though.
Part of that's the actual, the front of Skull Woods is part of the.
All right, so Josh and SuperRandoBros, how did you guys feel everything went with you guys? Obviously,
we did our best. We've never had any time to practice beforehand. We're both having IRL stuff going on before this whole thing, even really throughout this whole league experience. We're just trying to make do with what we got. It's going to be interesting next week for Cross Keys too, since no one on the team has any Cross Keys experience, so that's going to be interesting. And, Yeah, we're just trying to make do with what we got. That's what we can do, you know.
Yeah, the real question is, are you having fun, right? Like, because wins and losses are going to come. Are you enjoying yourselves? Are you enjoying this mode at all?
Well, it's an eye-opening experience, you know, trying out different modes. I mean, I think I've had my answers to that question. I can leave it to Rando if he has his answers there, but I definitely have my answers to that.
Man, I'm super glad that we had the opportunity to join the tournament. I'm having a really good time, and playing these spoiler pilot races like this, I like this mode. I want to get good at playing this because this is actually really fun.
Yeah, I love this mode. This is a great mode to.
Oh, it's super fun.
It tests you out. It's like, all right, what will the seed give me? How will I route it? The only, you know, this seed, I was a little low on heart containers, but
I mean, it was like
Red Mail was upstairs in GT, so we're fine on that.
But Rambo was like, okay, I'm in this dungeon. There's nothing, dude. This seed, just go through it. There's nothing.
I think the only safeties I got was Ice Palace, was the powder and the life container.
Yeah, some of it was pretty dry, man. But,
there's nothing.
Yeah, we kind of had a bit of a trouble getting started, and then I orphaned the catfish, which was a huge bummer, and I just had to go back.
I died on the way to catfish because what we did once we had Dark World access. One of the first things I did was hype cave into getting the ice rod into getting bombos. I died on the way to catfish because we did once we had. I was able to Dark World access. One of the first things I did was hype cave into. I went up to to what's called. We did Aga 2, Aga 1 to get the key that we didn't actually need. So. Because Kachiri doesn't know how to read spoiler log. I mean,
what's
called? We did Aga 2. We needed to get the swamp. Oh wait, swamp's a pendant. Oh wait, we don't need that fourth sword. Oh wait, Kachiri doesn't.
Wow.
I mean, we could have gotten the fourth sword if you wanted.
I could have. I'm not going to spend 2 minutes just to get a butter sword, especially when I still got the one-on-one again.
Yeah, I mean, this was as beginner-friendly of a spoiler log that I could have asked for. It wasn't too terrible.
Yeah, how many hearts did you guys end up with?
We had more for comfy.
Yeah,
we're at like 9, I think.
Yeah.
But in terms of the first 5 minutes are where we lost the race because of just me not knowing what I'm doing because I've never done it before.
Yeah. Like I said, Kachiri and I, we only did one practice before this, but we also did this 2 or 3 times last season. So we have the experience. We know the early games. Like the early game where I went to Houlihan and I somehow missed it because I was talking to Kachiri. Didn't realize I didn't do it right. Luckily, the money issues didn't really come into play for us because there was like there was a 50 in a well that got my bombs, and that was it.
Yeah, chess game also gave us what we needed.
Chess game was a 300. I grabbed that 300.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a fun seed for spoiler log. If this was a regular key sanity, I mean, other than the boots being where they were, and
I mean,
you
probably would have added like another 70 checks to this, but
of course, yeah, it's gonna be easy 100 checks,
maybe
even more. But yeah, it was fun. Time for cross keys practice.
Oh yeah, man.
Well, good game, y'all. And good luck with the rest of your season. I know you're gonna get right back into the hunt to try for a playoff spot.
It's gonna take a minor miracle, but hey, crazier things have
happened. I think that's going to go to Rando Babies and JK Law. I'm not gonna lie, they're already like a week of games in front of everyone else.
Rando Babies is just sneakily good because I mean Aaron's pretty elite already, you know.
Kind of won the mentor tournament, you know.
And then Vextifer is just like training like a madman.
He kind of
like
third in the mentor tournament. I think that team is like the top mentor tournament players.
Yeah, they're gonna go far. So
yeah, we almost took 2 games off of them. It was close, but
yeah,
we don't want
my last location something against Aaron, and
I could have beat the seed 40 minutes before Vex did.
You just can't make any mistakes against that crew.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, good luck, y'all. I hope y'all have a great night. Just want to say thanks to the crew for hosting this whole thing. You know, it's always a treat to make yourself be publicly humiliated and
I wouldn't say you guys were humiliated. I thought it was a really good race, and the mode is hard. Like the mode is hard.
Yes,
and you talked about not being able to.
Rewarding.
Yeah, and you talked about not being able to practice, and it's just one of those modes that you have to practice, and the more you practice, then the more you'll get good at it. So
yeah,
and again, the most important thing is having a good time, right? Like, as long as you're having a good time, then I think that's the real win.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Awesome night.
Thank you, Fear, for jumping in to help CoCom tonight.
Yep.
Thank you, Gilgamesh, for doing the tracking, and thank you to Yornko's wife for putting on the restream itself. We still have 2 more days of spoiler key sanity, or pilot spoiler. So that'll go through Sunday, and then starting on Monday, we will be back with next week's mode of cross keys. And be sure to check plenty of those races out as well. But that is going to do it for us tonight here at ALTTPR League. I think there is an invitational race starting in the next 20-ish minutes.
Yeah, I'll be on comms with that with Moogle Charm. So
yeah, definitely go check that out. What channel should they be looking for?
That I don't know. One of the speed gaming channels.
One of the speed gaming channels. Yeah. We are getting one more race tonight. So if you have not been completely randoed out yet, you just love watching the spoiler pilot, you got that in about 20 minutes over on one of the speed gaming networks. But until then, have a great rest of your Friday night. See y'all next time. Good night.